index finger, so it's also brain health. The index fingertip touches the thumb tip. Then you bring your arms to parallel and you bring your thumb to your ring fingertip. Now you touch the tip of your thumb to your middle finger and the index fingers are touching. You got it? And the index fingers are touching overhead.
Am I the only one that has trouble knowing which finger is which?
It's very common. Very common.
Sorry.
So first index, ring finger, middle finger, and the index fingers are touching. We repeat that. Index finger, ring finger, middle finger, index fingers touching. Now I bring my thumbs over all fingers except my index finger and the arms come down. It's brain work. Now I make a fist with my left hand and my right hand goes around. And then the back of my hands touch. Left hand goes below the right wrist. Right palm is facing left. And then we open up. Okay, so we do the second part. Yeah, so we were here. Thumbs over all fingers. You bring your arms down. Left hand goes into a fist, right hand around. Back of your hands touch. And then from here, the left hand goes below the right. Right palm is facing left. And from here, we open up. So this is for the fifth chakra here. One more time, the second. We start here. Thumbs go over all fingers, index fingers pointing up. Left hand into a fist, right hand around. Back of your hands are touching. Left hand below the right wrist. And then we open up. Capiche? Good. We will do this with Ra, Ma, Da, Sa. Sa, Se, So, Hum. And now you play the music. It's very slow music so that we can hold the mudra for a little while. Keep your arms down, Brennan. Otherwise, they're hurting. Let's go through one. Just allow for the healing energy in your hands right now to penetrate into your thymus gland, the one that is part of your protection system, your immune system.
Thank you, Siddhi. It so beautifully ties into, let me see, gallery, I need to see your faces, ties into what I wish to speak about today, which is guardianship. So here we are in this mudra series, taking responsibility for our health and our well-being. And it's a big topic, but we're going to break it apart a little bit today. Spiritual guardianship. So guardianship is the taking the dichotomy or the duality of taking personal responsibility for the vitality of our life, while simultaneously trusting that there is a higher power at work in the cosmos and nurturing that relationship in a way, not abdicating, that's too strong of a word, but acknowledging that delicate balance between what we can control and what we cannot control, and where to relinquish control and where to activate control. It's a deeply nurturing relationship within ourselves and within the larger context of the cosmos. We are a microcosm of the macro. And if we don't own that and live into that, we don't access the power, the synchronicities, the nuances of the macro. So this means utilizing practices such as setting boundaries and the protection of our nature, our essence. And what I want to chat about is how we bring that into our daily life without adding another practice that we do. We all have really lovely practices. How do we do this? By just having it be an expression of how we step into our life rather than being a doing thing that we put on our calendar to remind us to spend 20 minutes doing this thing. So it's a calling in of external forces to service while simultaneously allowing those external services to protect us from, let's call it a little strong, but let's say malevolent forces, health, well-being, or lack of, dis-ease. And dis-ease happens on all levels. It happens in our mental movement. It happens in our physical body. It happens in our energetics. So this is an age, it's a very common time now, and I won't even call it new age because it's not new anymore, but the age of reclaiming ritual, boundaries, protection. And it's not just in the way that you imagine. Guardianship places our attention and our intention to step into the protection of self and for invocation of the natural world, to include us in its cosmic rhythm, rotation, synchronicity. So it's both. It's both taking that responsibility and then knowing again where to step back and say, I invoke a higher power to also co-create with me, to co-heal with me, to co-tend this vitality of my system. I need both in my life. It's not either or. This relates to everything in our life: how you keep your home, how you practice ritual, how you interact with local ecology, how you architect your consciousness, how you walk. The famous, beautiful monk Thich Nhat Hanh, he taught us the art, which was not something new to Tibetan monks, but it was new to us in the Western world, how to walk in a spiritual way, how to take each step as a movement into your vitality and your spiritual journey. And it was one of his major teachings was the walk, how we walk, how we call in our personal guardians and the cosmic guardians. This is all part of our guardianship, our personal guardianship of this essence that we are, which is body, mind, spirit. All of the pieces of us, how to tend to those without filling our day with 18 different practices that we have to do. Every step that we take, every breath, every observation in our day is an opportunity to reintegrate ourselves with the whole, with the cosmos, with humanity, with life, vitality, with creation, with creativity, every breath. So we separate these things out. I'm going to be creative over here. I'm going to tend my spiritual journey over here. I'm going to do my must do, we bifurcate ourselves into so many pieces that maybe we don't even know who we are amongst all these pieces. So how do we take those and use the life force we have as the opportunity to integrate all of those so that we are, in essence, a reflection of and a piece of the larger, the macro. Start taking this micro and bringing it into the macro, or bringing the macro into us, letting that be a relationship that's not just a thought that we are ourselves, one little cell represents all of this. No, that the way we step into our lives starts to represent that. We live in a world of duality, diversity, intricacy. We have to cultivate a life with the natural world, the divine world, and the human world, all three. That's the trinity we have to work with. That word trinity, triune, bringing in the three parts. It's, excuse me, it's represented, excuse me. I'm not sick, I just had something caught in my throat. We have to use this, the Trinity, to look at how are we stepping into the aspects of ourselves. And you can look at it through the lens of the Christian Trinity, or through the Buddhist Trinity, or through all of these different ways that the triune, the three parts. But we know that the three things we have to integrate are the natural world, the divine world, and the human world. That's on the grosser level. Those are the three places we're trying to integrate. And it begins with boundaries. Physical, emotional, and energetic. In order to exist, we must stand guard so that our boundaries protect us. In the Ayurvedic world, we understand that dis-ease comes from what we've taken in through our senses. So when we're helping someone Ayurvedically, we look at what are you taking in through your scent, through your sound, through your eyes, through your mouth? What are you putting into your body? We want to know, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? Because you digest all of that input. And if that input is not guided in a way that is beneficial for you, it sets up an energetic, which eventually sets up a physicality. So it's our responsibility to stand guard to all of these senses that we have and what comes in. Just as your house may have a front gate or a front door or both, just as a temple has an entrance and then it has an entrance into the inner sanctum. Your body is a temple, your heart is a temple, your mind is a temple, your consciousness is a temple. Not all information, food, energy, sights, smells, or sounds need to be brought into our sanctuary. This is our responsibility. Where are we holding that boundary of what we take into, what we hear, what we see, what we eat? It's happening on all of these levels. You are the guard. This is spiritual guardianship, you being responsible for that input into your system. We call it paying rent is a form of guardianship. And what do we mean by that? We mean offering back, paying it forward, chanting, singing, mindfulness of what we're taking in, appreciating out loud, speaking to that which we're appreciative of. All offerings of creativity, when we hold them as sacred, because the sacred is what leads us into the vitality and health and well-being and protection of our being. It's under the auspice of sacredness that we can be protected. This is where the divine world lives. So if we're integrating humanity, natural world, and divine, we need to be integrating sacred all the time. We literally must woo the energies of the cosmos. We must architect a life of layers of guardianship. I remember once Sadhguru said to me, you need to woo Devi. I'm like, oh my God, another thing to do. He was like, you have to invite her in on all these levels so that she wants to participate in your life. It's not that she chooses to cause a problem for you, but she just may choose not to be present. If you don't woo it, we have to woo the world we want to internalize and to be an expression of ourselves. We have to bring it in that essence of wooing something, not I must do another thing, but I'm bringing it in. I'm creating a relationship that is so tender and sweet and luscious. I'm wooing it into my life. When you start to see this way, we see that silence is a guardian, sound is a guardian, prayer and devotion, naming our support, our lineage, our deities, our family, naming your support. Clearing is guardianship, clearing your altar space, is guardianship, clearing your body, the cleansing of your body, the cleansing of your space that you live in, this cleansing of cleaning your space. Rhythmic, repetitive work crystallizes our interiority. We gain integrity. One of the things I was reading about was mantras, that in the Western world, we love mantras. Give me the most powerful mantra you can give me. What's the one that everybody really, really wants that's going to completely transform me? And if you take that and a teacher says, okay, I'll give you that one. They go to students in Nepal or India or Bhutan, other parts of the world, and they say, I can offer you this really powerful, strong, transformative mantra. And they'll say, am I worthy of it? Have I learned enough? Have I deepened enough into life? Am I prepared for it? Not just give it to me, bring it on, let me do it. But they've already set the stage and they've set the foundation for taking in something, because life in those parts of the world and in those cultures is predicated on this spiritual guardianship. They don't call it that, perhaps, but they already are setting up the system within their life from the time they're born. That's the way the culture operates. So the chants and the mantras and the food and all of the things that we want to keep at bay, they're already acknowledging them, some better than others, but it's inherently part of the system. So it's not a new teaching. It's not a new teaching. We have a lack of regular ritual alignment to the larger cycles of nature. We have to be told when it's a full moon, possibly, or a new moon, or a quarter moon, or whatever it happens to be. We, because we're in a community that pays attention to those things, we hear about it more. But I'm always surprised when it's a full moon and I say to someone, oh, it's a full moon day. And they're like, huh? Like they didn't even notice. We have to align ourselves in an intentional way with the rhythms of the larger cosmos. Until we do that, we don't take advantage of the macro that is out there within our micro, because we're paying too much attention to the busyness of the micro busyness around us. We have to look at our intentionality without having to make it another thing to do in our life. These days, it's so easy to integrate those calendars onto your Google Calendar. And then you're told in the morning, it's a full moon, or it's a Ekadashia, it's the day of fasting. It's the 11th day of the lunar calendar for that month. We fast on that day. That everybody knows about that in India. Not everybody fasts on that day, but they know what Ekadashia is, and they're going to most likely fast on that day. The fasting that happens, the cleansing of the system as a regular ritual in other parts of the world. Here we have to join a whole group and do a whole fast in order to give us the impetus and the motivation to do it. We would never just consider stepping into it on our own. Many of the facilitators that we see out in the world now, they don't even know the difference between actually holding a ritual and posting a ritual on Instagram. So many rituals I see posted and I think, oh my God, like ritual is sacred and it's quiet and it's intimate. It's not a posting. It's not a posting. Navigating the world of forces is in everything. It's in our daily practices. It's in our movement. It's establishing a morning and an evening relational ritual that is part of waking up. It's not another thing to do. It's part of, it's like brushing your teeth, calling in our warriors and guardians for protection before we need them. Not just when we need them, before we need them. So we have a relationship with them, so they're not surprised when we ask for their help. They don't go, who are you? We want them to already know us. We want to offer gratitude to unseen forces of nature, not just the big ones, the little ones. The simplest practices are the ones that deepen us the most in this way. Establishing of 4 directions, or maybe you do 7 directions, start in the morning and we offer ourselves to each of the directions, because what happens in those directions? In the east, the sun comes up. What's more important than the sun coming up? We're not here if that sun doesn't come up. The sun comes up. What happens at night when the sun goes down? The moon comes up. We get washed with the delicacy of the moon and the fierceness of the moon and the light of that is reflected off of the moon. We get washed with that. We get cleansed with that. It doesn't take a lot to honor the sun in the morning. I honor it. And to honor the moon when we see it wherever we walk. How many people just walk outside under the moon and don't even look up? We have to make our life a practice of that devotion, a practice, because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. Relational practices connect us to the coherence that's in the cosmos. We want to be a part of that coherence, because that creates integrity in us. And that integrity is where we connect with all the power that we have. So now we're back to power and control. It's not about control, it's about power. When we have spiritual power, when we have the integrity of the macro power, not power of I'm bigger and stronger than you and I can speak louder and carry a bigger stick, not that kind of power. The more subtle power, when we have a practice of that and we bring that into our lives, then when we need it and we call upon it, we're a big bang. We're not a subtle little thing walking in. We're a force. We're a force. Orient yourself to a liturgical calendar. Maybe it's a Christian calendar. Maybe it's the Buddhist calendar. Maybe it's the Vedic calendar. Something that reminds you when you open your calendar that there's special days happening throughout the year that aren't just high holy days. Connect with the sun. Om Surya Ya Namaha. We've talked about that. Get up, ask the sun for that healing energy that comes. Om Surya Ya Namaha. And offer to the moon when we see it at night. Connect with her. Om Chandra Ya Namaha. Chandra, the moon. Surya, the sun. Connect with that. Make that part of our movement through our day. Tend to your mental world through the thoughts, through mantra. There's a wonderful mantra, neti neti, means not this, not that. When your mind is running away into some other place, neti neti, it's not this, it's not that. I can let go. It's not this, it's not that. Calm my mind. Neti neti. Begin the day with your personal prayers. I want to recite the modern rewriting of the 42 ideals of Ma'at. Ma'at is from the Egyptian cosmology. It's the force of the cosmos. It's the containment of all that we know together comes through Ma'at. It's the creation energy that comes through Ma'at, and it was written about and recorded on the temple and pyramid walls and on the papyruses throughout Egypt over thousands of years. And there's it's called the positive confession for the present day. There are 42 of these ideals because there are 42 Netarus, which are the gods that are observed, the main gods. It's like India. How many are there? A gazillion, but the main gods that are considered the cosmic expression of creation in different ways. Like we would say the creation of Lakshmi represents abundance. Their gods are aligned in the same way. These 42 ideals of Ma'at represent different aspects that we want to embody and create and have access to. So I start my day with these 42 every day. I want to read them to you and share them with you. They're very fast. I honor virtue. I benefit with gratitude. I am peaceful. I respect the property of others. I affirm that all life is sacred. I give offerings that are genuine. I live in truth. I regard all altars with respect. I speak with sincerity. I consume only my fair share. I offer words of good intent. I relate in peace. I honor animals with reverence. I can be trusted. I care for the earth. I keep my own counsel. I speak positively of others. I remain in balance with my emotions. I am trustful in my relationships. I hold purity and high esteem. I spread joy. I do the best I can. I communicate with compassion. I listen to opposing opinions. I create harmony. I invoke laughter. I am open to love in various forms. I am forgiving. I am kind. I act respectfully. I am accepting. I follow my inner guidance. I converse with awareness. I do good. I give blessings. I keep the waters pure. I speak with good intent. I praise the goddess and the god. I am humble. I achieve with integrity. I advance through my own abilities. I embrace the all. So the affirmation for today, for this week, I take responsibility for guardianship of my life. I take responsibility for guardianship of my life. Step into it, ladies, so that it becomes the walk, not a special practice.